Hi everyone, it's Brian, and we're going to talk about how to do a stylish portrait in Illustrator. Now, as you can see here, I've started off with a couple examples. Now, one of the more famous examples of doing Illustrator portraits is this one that you see here on the left. It's the Barack Obama Hope poster. It spawned a lot of, copycats and lookalikes for that style back when that presidential campaign was going on. The artist Shepard Fairey actually selectively chose all of the parts here, the shadows, the highlights, the portion here with the lines for the gradient, so that way it read even if it was far away. So you can see here, like, it gets very small, but it still remains iconic. And by contrast, Admiral Akbar over here, it's got some pretty rough lines. You zoom in on it, and you'll see that there's just a lot of stuff going on, and that's because this was done with the path trace tool in Illustrator, and it doesn't really give good, clean results. Even though this is similar in style, the eye here still reads as an eye up close. I'm going to show you how, more or less, I imagine Shepard Fairey pulled off this sort of portrait style in Illustrator, and I imagine he used something like this. So you see, this is a self-portrait that I did of myself. Well, obviously it's a self-portrait, so it's going to be of myself. Anyway, I'll just show you how I kind of developed this process based on this look. So it's pretty actually straightforward in terms of execution. It just involves using the pen tool and using a limited color palette, and we'll go over some good techniques for doing that. So for starters, we're going to go ahead and start a new file here, and I like working in inches just because it makes sense, especially if you're going to be working with print, to work in the actual dimensions that you're going to be printing in. So we're actually going to work in portrait orientation because, of course, these are portraits. And for your project, I would like to see all of them done in a portrait orientation as well. So I'm going to change this to 18 by 24 because, yeah, let's just stick with that document resolution there. Because we're working in Illustrator, of course, you don't have to worry about anything like DPI or resolution or anything like that until you export your file. So I'm going to go ahead and click Create. And so now we have a fresh canvas here. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Place, and I'm going to place my image in here. You'll see when you get to that, you can actually drag and place that in there. And there is my face. So in case you're wondering what I look like, yeah, here I am. That's me. Beautiful, right? I know. That's what my mom tells me all the time. So we're going to start off here, and we're going to position it on our artboard so that it works for a portrait orientation here. So this photo was taken in landscape, so it's not quite working for what we need here. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on that. So you see the menu here changes depending on what you're clicked on. So I click on the image, and you get this crop image tool. This warning is going to pop up telling you that information there. Just go in here, and I'm going to just crop this in so we don't have all this other stuff distracting us. And I'll hit apply. So I'm going to go ahead and change the name of this layer to reference image. So I chose this image because it's got a nice rim light here to kind of help define the shape, and some dark shadow spots. So when you're selecting images for yourself, go ahead and try to select images that work well for that sort of thing. You want to be able to have a good distinction between light and dark places. This might not be the best image. It's actually fairly low contrast, which you'll see if I went in here and did a live trace. If I go up to Object, Image Trace, and I hit Make, you see that there's actually not a whole lot of contrast. You're getting the highlights right there, right? And then up on the hat, of course the collar of my jacket is popping up here. And I could go in here, and if I wanted to, I could go and try to do something with, let's just do a 6-color palette. It's going to think for a little bit, and ooh, man, it's pretty rough. I can go in here and actually do more tweaking with the outline here. Oop. No, I don't want to do that. Yeah, we'll go back to that. So instead of that, go back to the 6-color one. Think for a little bit, go to Advanced. So I can actually go in here and change the path settings in here and try to tweak that. Tweak some things with the corners. At the end of the day, it still ends up being a little bit muddy. There's just like a lot of weird shapes going on here because of the way this image solver works. And if I wanted to go in here and try to like specifically highlight things, I'd still end up practically needing to redraw everything by hand. So if I, maybe decided I was happy with this, I could go in, that's still selected, go in Object, Image Trace, and expand it. And now I have access to all my path points. But it really doesn't do a whole lot for me here in terms of like give me any sort of usability. You just have way too much information, too many different paths that you need to select. And I want to make this much more art directable. So remember our, poster over here, something like this you wouldn't be able to get with the image trace tool. We're going to go ahead and go back to this. I'm going to try to undo everything. Oh, I was going to think every time I do undo. Ooh, okay. Actually, it might just be easier if I go in here and delete that, and I'll go ahead and place this image again. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and add a new layer here. So my approach for doing things like this is I want to start with using a color palette and kind of figure where that is first. That's going to kind of define when I do things, because I'm going to want to fill in starting with the dark portions and the mid-tones and the other color ranges here. So we got like shadows, midtones, and highlights, and those are all going to be defined by my color palette. So if I go and click on my color themes tab down here in my swatches panel, we get this. So you can actually create your own color scheme. There's also the option to explore user created ones, which is something nice. I'm going to go ahead and just select this one on the top of the most popular ones, because I like to be popular, and I'm going to add it to my swatches, and you'll see over here it just gets added to my swatches panel. So now I can actually just work within this limited color palette when I'm doing my drawings. So I'm going to go back over here to my layers tab, and I'll actually just leave this open down here. Um, so I'm going to take my reference layer here, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change its opacity. I'm going to drop it down to about, oh, let's say 70%. That seems good. And I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to want to start off with my shadows. So I'm going to look at the darkest color in my color palette. This is going to be my shadow color. So what I'm going to do is, using the pen tool, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to trace out all of the dark shadow parts on my portrait. If I go ahead and hit Control on Mac, and I believe it's Command, or Control on PC, and I believe it's Command on Mac, it switches to your selection tool up here, your direct selection tool, and I can go in and, as I'm working on my curve, go ahead and actually edit this. So I didn't like how that curve was like a sharp corner there, so I went in and edited that, and I'm just like clicking, and you drag to create an arc in the curve. So from there, go ahead and actually make that a curved handle as well. And I'm going to zoom in, and as I'm going here, and I'm going to select this portion. So to make a handle, you can actually change these handles individually. And if you wanted to make a sharper corner, you just drag one of the handles in, and you have a sharp edge moving down. You can go there. I'm going to make that a arc tangent again. And there you go. I'm going to go in and actually, oops, go back. If you find yourself in this mode, that means that you're in isolation mode on the object that you double clicked on. To go back, you just click that back arrow, and you can go, I'm in layer 2, and now I'm back into the overall mode. I'm going to select A and go to my path here, and I'm going to select these different portions. So I'm going through here. I'm going to be turning off my reference image, and just turning it on and off just to make sure that I like the shapes that I have going on in here. Now, getting to something like the glasses here. This is going to be dark, but on the inside it's cut out. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go really quickly here and kind of trace around the outline of my glasses. And as I'm working on that, just drag around. I don't like where that is. And I'm just going to go down the path here of my glasses and cut that out. So see here that another advantage of doing this method, especially for the sake of this exercise in this class, is you get very familiar with the pen tool and how it works. Pen tool is probably the most useful and powerful tool in your digital arsenal for Illustrator, and you're going to be using it for a lot of other things if you're doing things in Illustrator. So understanding the way all of your curves react is going to be important for doing any other Illustrator projects as well in the future, probably, or many other at least. So you see I have like a little point right there. I'm just going to go up here and I'm going to convert selected anchor points to smooth and smooth it out a little bit, and then I can go in and adjust that there, adjusting these curve points individually. But anyway, you get the idea. Obviously, I don't want to be wearing sunglasses. Well, I mean, maybe I do, but not for the sake of this demonstration. So I'm going to go ahead and go back in here and change the opacity again. And I'm going to go back to my pen tool, and with this path unselected, go in here and I can begin tracing out the inside part of the glasses. So, control clicking on there, adjusting my path. And I'm going to go back to my selection tool over here. And yeah, that's close enough. So I'm going to select both of these, and I go to my Pathfinder tool. It's got this little icon here, and to get it you can go to Window, Pathfinder. It'll pop open here. Now they have different shape modes. You can unite your path, you can subtract the front, minus front, do intersection, exclude, divide, trim, merge, crop, outline, and minus black. These are all different modes that you can use, but we're going to use the minus front and just cut out that front part there, and you'll see now that the path is clear. And so I can turn that back up, and now you see that there's this look here. For something like the highlights on the side of my face here, so I would go to my, with this unselected, go to this color and begin a new path. My pen tool. I can carve my way down here, and actually I'm going to go and select that and change the opacity on that, and back to my pen tool. And just go up through these shapes here. So now we have this, but if I went back in here and go back and change my opacity, it's in front of the glasses, and we don't want that. What we want is for it to be behind that. So we can actually go in here after we've drawn our shape and right click on it, and we can go to Arrange and Send Backward, and it'll actually go back behind the next shape in the stack. So as you make things, there's an order to all of the different shapes that you put. This is the most recent shape that I've drawn, and so it was in front of that in the stack. If I wanted it to go behind this shape, I'd go Arrange, Send Backward, or I can go and send it all the way to the back. Another option would be to actually put it in a different layer. So I can go and, so we have a new layer here. So I'll make this layer called Shadows, and this one I'll call Face Highlight. It's a good idea to make sure that your layers are always named, because you'll start getting more and more stacks of layers, and it starts getting confusing. So I'm going to right click going to arrange with that selected and say send to current layer. So now it's on that layer. Now I can just change the order of things in the layer stack here, and they are now both in the opposite layers here. I can turn them on and off and work like that. So now you see this shape starting to kind of come forward, and we're able to get a good idea of what this looks like. So to get an effect like the lines that you saw in the other Barack Obama poster here, so say we wanted to have some shadowing in here that was like, you know, still using the shadow but not quite as harsh, we can use the Pathfinder tool to do something like that. So I'm going to create a new layer and call these line shadows. And I'm going to go back to my shadow color here, and I'm going to draw another shape. You'll notice that when I go over that, it has that intersect or path thing here. That means that the pen tool is sticking to that. You can toggle stickiness on or off. If you go to snap to point, you can turn snapping off. But I'm going to leave it on because it's actually useful for what I'm trying to do here. By the way, the shortcut for the pen tool is P on your keyboard. So P as in parrot. And I'm going to go ahead and draw another shape here. And with that selected, I can go in here, and I'll actually go ahead and I'll make another layer. I'll just call this layer lines, and I'm just going to grab my path tool here, or not path tool, my rectangle tool. If you left click and hold down on it, you have different options for different shapes, but rectangle is what we want right now. So I'm going to make a rectangle shape here, and I'm going to go ahead and with Alt press down, I'm going to click and drag on it, and it's going to create a duplicate of that. And after it's been selected, I'm going to press Shift so it moves down with it. Let's try that again. So Shift or Alt, drag down. It's going to go straight down. So now it locks in right there. And I'm going to grab both of these again, press Alt, duplicate, drag it straight down, and I can grab all of these. So what I'm doing here is I'm making shapes that I can then use as a cutout for my other shapes. So I can go ahead and I'm going to drag that all the way down there. And we got that spacing there. And further down, there we go. So, unite the path. Grab all this and minus front. Okay, there we go. Not sure why that wasn't working with the other one, but you see how that works now. So I can go in here and I'll just grab these. Oops. And actually, back to that, Alt drag. I'll actually unite this one, and I will do that again. Okay, so now we have an effect like this, right? So now you get kind of like a faded shadow in there. And that's kind of the tools that I use for creating portraits like this. So you just turn the attributes on and off. You would use like something like this color for your like background shape, and you'll just want to like fill in the different shapes, just generally speaking, to give it kind of like a nice, clean, illustrative look. And so that's more or less the process that I go through here to do that. And I'll have a time-lapse video showing you how I was able to get the full version of this up and running. For the background, you can do whatever sort of thing that you want. You can even go far as to, you know, maybe do some like interesting shapes in the background. If you wanted to go with your pen tool and with maybe, you know, one of your other colors selected, and like add kind of a nice sort of design in the background. You can do something like that. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and I will look forward to seeing your projects. All right. Thanks, guys.